Stay tuned for more.
Ogren Insurance, Hammond's oldest family-owned independent insurance agency, now in its third generation providing clients in the Chicago area with products from quality insurance companies to handle your every need. Regardless of driving history, Ogren Insurance can find the right coverage for you at competitive prices. To learn more about the insurance solutions and services we offer throughout Indiana, Illinois, and Michigan, call 219-933-0076 or visit our website, ogreninsurance.com. We're located at 6929 Homan Avenue in Hammond, Indiana. Do business locally with someone you know and trust.
In our more than 100-year history at WJOB, we've seen a lot of really talented DJs.
It is producer Joe. We will be right back in a few short minutes as Verlie gets situated. So in the meantime, sit tight and enjoy some music.
Hi, my name is John Patalis, and I am your Lake County Treasurer. Your Treasurer's Office is responsible for the collection of over $1 billion per year in money that belongs to you, the taxpayer. I am asking you for your support and vote on Tuesday, May 5, as I seek re-election to this very important financial office. For public service and not self-service, please remember me, John Patalis, for your Lake County Treasurer. Paid for by the committee to elect John Patalis.
Hello, everybody. It's Captain Flashback back with you for another podcast, and we're going to do 80s dance music, Volume 2. And one of the big hitters of the 80s, of course, was Madonna. And here
I'm Jerry Williams. For over 35 years, I protected Lake County as a state trooper and interim police chief of Gary. This is my home, and keeping our community safe has been my life's work. I've dedicated my career to fighting crime. Now I'm running for sheriff to get the job done and deliver real results. As a crime fighter, not a politician, I'd be honored to have your vote. Paid for by the committee to elect Jerry Williams for sheriff.
right. Good morning, everybody. It is Producer Joe. You are listening to the morning show with Verlie as we kind of, start to get everything set up for the morning. I'm going to run through traffic and weather for you guys real quick. So let's start with traffic since it's early morning, so that means it's going to be the easiest time for me. We do have a slight buildup. It's nothing like in the reds or anything like that, but you are starting to get a buildup on 94 West heading towards the city, and then obviously you have kind of the buildup on Klein due to the road construction. Other than that, the Stevenson heading north is starting to get some traffic going, but other than that, it's pretty green everywhere, so no need to worry if you're leaving the house right about now, but I'm assuming it's going to be a pretty difficult day just by the signs of it. Okay, other than that, it is Tuesday, April 21st, and it is going to be a high of 74 and a real feel of 72. We are going to get some thunderstorms later in the afternoon, but other than that, just some gusty winds. But it'll be a pretty nice day overall for as long as you can be outside. Wednesday, it's going to be a high of 71 and a real feel of 73. Fog will reduce visibilities in the morning, so be careful if you're driving on tomorrow. But Thursday is going to be a high of 81 and a real feel of 81. Nothing but some breeze and warmer times for everybody, so enjoy that day. Friday is going to be a high of 70 and a real feel of 69. And then you're going to get some thunderstorms later in the afternoon. And then the weekend, you're going to have a high of 60, real feel of 63 with a lot of sunshine. And Sunday is going to be much of the same with a high of 62 and a real feel of 65. But other than that, so it's going to be a really nice week, actually, is what it seems like. So enjoy it. I'm sure it's only going to continue to get nicer from there. But, yeah, other than that, Verlie, are you ready?
Yeah, of
course.
course.
Oh, I put you on the wrong mic.
Oh.
There we go.
Should I be on the other one, or
It
am
doesn't
I good?
matter. You're good.
Good morning, Joe. It's great to be here. Of course, appreciate the traffic and weather. Just a normal backup, though. Klein Avenue going toward the mill, 8094 getting onto Klein Avenue. It's always a bit of a mess. It's always backed up. And then for those who are going north on 65, trying to get to U.S. Steel, that's always backed up as well as they get caught at that light. I was driving there this morning, and it must have been about 50 cars in line to get on to Melton Road. So those are just the normal get-to-work issues that people have, and they know to leave a little earlier so they can get there. I try and leave a little earlier, but, when I do that coffee run, it kind of slows me down a little. So I hope the hot chocolate is hot but not burning your tongue.
Yeah, I haven't tried it yet. I'm very, very careful about that kind of stuff.
Now, are you a coffee drinker?
I'll drink anything really. Like I like coffee,
Hot or ice?
iced, and it doesn't matter. It depends. But I like them sweet.
Okay.
It's like I don't know. That's more of like a Hispanic thing though. But I like mine really sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And then I like energy drinks as well. I drink a lot of energy drinks before I go to the gym and stuff like that. But yeah, whatever somebody wants to throw at me for free, I'll take. So I appreciate the hot chocolate very, very much.
Well, I appreciate you being here this early in the morning, and definitely want to get you what you enjoy. I know with Lucy, when she used to be here, I don't know if you knew about Lucy. She was she was an exchange student sort of at Purdue from Ireland. And she was one of the producers here at WJOB until it was time for her visa to expire, and then she had to find other employment. But she liked iced coffee, so I made sure she had iced coffee. Adriana likes hot chocolate, so that's why you have hot chocolate now. But I want to make sure you get what you enjoy. So whatever you prefer, just let me know.
Okay, we could talk about it off air, I guess.
Most
but
definitely.
I appreciate anything, really.
Sure. Coming up this morning, of course, I'm going to be taking your phone calls, talking about some of the top stories going on in the world and here locally, because we have some issues going when it comes to voting here in Lake County, and we want to talk about that. People got their tax bills, so they probably want to talk about that as well. Some of the candidates that are running for office are being trumped, and it's not the card game, trumping somebody's cards. We're going to talk about that. And some of the top stories, some lawsuits going on. Of course, I want to hear your opinion about these things. Gas prices, are they going down or are they coming up? Well, that is the question. and I definitely want to hear your opinion regarding that. The issues going on at BP, NIPSCO, is that tentative agreement going to go for the vote? And are the people going to say, hey, I want to come back to work, or are they going to hold out? So we shall see. I want to hear your opinion. Coming up at about 7:30, I'm not sure yet. Depends on the time I can get him out of bed this morning. I'm going to hear from Steve Mays. He is the president of the Gary branch of the NAACP. And we're going to talk regarding what's happening in Lake County at the government complex this morning at 10 o'clock. So if you're unaware, there's a challenge going on, and we will be discussing that as well. If you want to weigh in this morning, 219-845-1100 is the number to call. If you don't, that's fine. If the chat is your best way to get it out there, then Joe is there on the chat with you. You can put all your complaints, all your issues, all the little things you want to say that you can't say to my face. Do it on the chat. It's all there for you. So as I'm driving in this morning and I'm looking at the region, and we listened to some of the political ads during the week. And so I'm going to start right out with that, because there seems to be some retribution going on against candidates that stood their ground and didn't support a redistricting here in Lake County and the state of Indiana regarding our U.S. congressman. Do we have a phone call? No, I'm sorry, Joe.
You're just playing with I didn't know if you wanted your volume down. That's
okay.
All I was
what happens is I cannot keep these little ear things in my ears.
You only need one of them.
Okay,
so
yeah.
Whatever's most
I usually only have one, but because they don't have like a rubber tip, they kind of tend, I think my ear canals are a little narrow, and so they tend to fall out, and I'm constantly adjusting it, trying to get it deep in my ear. So I apologize for that rattling going on for those listeners and for you, my producer. But we've been hearing some commercials over the airways, and of course, being a radio station, being here for everybody, you have to play them, regardless to how you feel about them. So currently there is an ad going on against one of our state senators who stood up against a redistricting. Now, what it reminds me of, actually, is very similar to when there was a candidate running for Congress a few years ago, maybe 4 years ago, because it's probably been close to 4 years ago, and that was Jennifer Ruth Green. And a lot of money was coming from outside of the region, from these political PACs, to support her candidacy against our sitting Congressman Frank Mervan. Now, ads were being run on cable. They were being run during children's programming. They were just being run willy-nilly because there were millions of dollars thrown into helping her defeat Frank Mervan. Well, apparently that money went down the drain, because not only did she lose, Frank won. Her resurrection of a campaign failed as well. She's facing some type of allegations from a position she held in Indianapolis in regard to campaigning on the job, and a number of other reasons why she's not the congresswoman. But those dollars that came from outside of the region, and I understand that political people, they take donations from political PACs. There's complaints about some of the local corporations supporting candidates, money that goes to them. A lot of entities have PACs where political action money goes to candidates that support the views that these individuals hold. So currently, there's money from a PAC that is supporting a candidate who's running against our current state senator, Dan Donnell. Now, I'm curious as to how people feel about that. Like, would that sway you? You've known an individual who has served not only in your town, but on the county level and now on the state level. He grew up with many people in the area. The family's well known. You know the type of work that he's capable of. I might not support everything he does because, granted, he's a Republican. But he did a great job when it came to standing along with other Republicans who felt that redistricting was something that someone from outside of the area was pushing for their agenda, and it didn't necessarily fit the agenda of the Republican Party here in the state of Indiana on a whole. Is it fair? Well, life's not fair, right? And when it comes to politics, it's definitely not fair. But would those type of commercials and that type of PAC inserting itself into your political world, is that a turnoff, or do you welcome it? Now, granted, I'm sure the owner of the station welcomes it because it's money coming into the station coffers. Station's looking really great. A lot of money's been invested into cleaning it up and bringing on Heartland and other entities, having these great producers that we have in the morning, having these great hosts that we have, present company included. But I don't get a salary, so hey, the money's not helping me, but it is helping the station. And of course, the station wants to be fair and balanced. So hopefully they start playing some Dan Donnell commercials. Hopefully somebody out there is thinking about the fact that maybe we need to support the candidate who's one of our own and throw some money into his campaign to battle against these high-powered individuals supporting Trump. Now, I know there are entities where they do surveys and they say, oh, if you had it to do all over again, would you really support Donald Trump again? And the majority of I had to take these things out. The majority of his supporters say, yeah, of course. They're diehard MAGA people, and not magnets, but MAGA people. And not maggots, rather, but MAGA people. And so no matter what the president does, they're going to support him. But do you believe that money coming from outside of the region to support a candidate against him is going to sway your decision when you go vote? And granted, voting is open right now. You have that opportunity to go to a number of locations. I would recommend you not go to Lake County to vote today. Now, there is a reason behind that. I would say go to one of your local places where you can vote early, cast your ballot there, but stay away from Lake County for a number of reasons. Number one, you probably won't be able to get a parking. There is an election board meeting that's going to be taking place at 10 o'clock this morning. There's going to be some challenges against absentee voting. And so there are going to be droves of people descending on the government complex today, hopefully with signs, hopefully with protest chants, hopefully exercising their right to assemble peacefully and oppose what the Republican Party in Lake County is trying to do. Now, you may say that the Republican Party has been a little desperate here lately. The fact that they put all that money behind Jennifer Ruth Green was one, showing of it. The fact that they tried to change the redistricting to shut out Congressman Frank Mervan is another showing of it. The fact that this political PAC is running an ad against Dan Donnell is another sign. But the fact that they are trying to disenfranchise voters, especially those voters who aren't able to go vote early, who are not able to go vote on Election Day, who for some reason or another are not able to vote in person, the fact that they would want to disenfranchise them is not the final act of desperation, because I'm sure there's many more acts of desperation to come about, but it is an act of desperation. So how do you feel about that, folks? 10 o'clock this morning, they're going to be discussing absentee ballots and whether or not to allow them. Now, I was around during the era of George Pabay and Bob Pastrick. I was there when ballots were challenged, an election was kicked to the curb, thrown out, and a new election, a special election, took place in the city of East Chicago. So been there, done it, knew about people voting multiple times, knew about dead people voting. We all knew about that. That stuff has been going on for ages and ages. But that was back before you had to show ID to vote. It was before there was more of a check and balance on voting. And so when you have people saying, oh, well, the president, he won that election 6 years ago, you can kind of question it. Because when you look at the ballots and you look at the people who won, I always wonder how Donald Trump can claim an election was stolen from him if other Republicans actually won in that same election. Did they just steal the presidency? Or did they steal some of the congressional seats? Did they steal some of the local seats? I just don't understand. Did they just take one person on the ballot and steal it from them? Well, those are things I wonder about. I don't understand people who don't wonder about it, but there are those who do. So, Joe, I know you did not register to vote this time around. You still haven't registered to vote. I'm hoping at some point, I'm like, Jim, you got to make a requirement. Anyone who works at the station has to be a registered voter. You have to be a registered voter because it's so important. So, I know. I know you haven't.
I know. Like I said, I just don't want to make an uninformed decision. And I mean, my what's the word I'm looking for? The amount that I've learned on local politics has definitely gone up. You know, I've met a lot of, like I've met Mervan and I've met other local politicians. So, maybe I'll get there one day, but I don't think that I'll end up voting this time around. Sorry, Jim. Sorry, Verlie.
So you are 22. If they were to bring about a mandatory draft, you would actually be eligible to be drafted.
I would.
You could possibly be sent to a war in Iran or somewhere else around the world should the tides turn in that direction. And you would never have had the opportunity to put someone in office that you felt best represented your views and this country moving forward. So that's something to really think about when you say, I didn't vote because I don't feel that I'm informed, but it's very important for people to get informed, not to wait for someone to inform you, but actually to get informed, get engaged, get involved, be aware, because things can happen that can affect you. Even the price of gas right now affects you. You're coming from Crown Point?
I'm coming from St. John.
St. John here. So you see what you're spending for gas. I know I live in Gary, work in Chicago. I spend a lot of money on gas. So even though I have a hybrid, I'm still spending a lot of money on gas. I'm fueling up, That's what my dad always said because he had a diesel, But I'm putting gas in my car all the time. And so the price of gas is affected by what's going on in the world. And so that's being informed. Those are things that your vote has some effect on. So I'm just trying to push the vote because I've been a political activist for a number of years, and a community activist for a number of years, and just know how important it is. I've seen the results of community activism where a person who was entrenched in office in a small city in this region was actually removed from office because of political activism. And I've seen where other individuals who were actually political activists themselves were elected to office to serve their communities. So there are so many possibilities that can occur through being involved that I think that everyone should to some degree. But I'm just preaching, that's just me giving it as I feel it should be, but it's up to you. I know we have to take a break. We can take that break. We'll come back. This is the morning show here on WJOB, AM 1230, 104.7 FM, Hammond, Indiana. We'll be right back.
Hi, my name is John Patalis, and I am your Lake County Treasurer. Your Treasurer's Office is responsible for the collection of over $1 billion per year in money that belongs to you, the taxpayer. I am asking you for your support and vote on Tuesday, May 5, as I seek re-election to this very important financial office. For public service and not self-service, please remember me, John Patalis, for your Lake County Treasurer. Paid for by the committee to elect John Patalis.
State Senator Dan Darnell was supposed to be different. He promised to fight for Hoosier families and stand with President Trump. He failed. Darnell voted against President Trump's agenda in Washington. That hurt Hoosier families, and he voted to let a Chinese company buy Hoosier farmland, putting China before us. Dan Darnell, opposing Trump, voting like a liberal, letting us down. A disgrace.
President Trump has endorsed conservative Trevor DeVries for state senate, a real Republican who will fight for Hoosier values. Trevor DeVries will stand with Trump, protect Hoosier farmland from China, defeat the liberal agenda, and never let you down. A true America First conservative. The right choice for Indiana. Endorsed by Trump, Trevor DeVries for state senate. Election day is May 5th. Paid for by American Leadership PAC.
This is National Work Zone Awareness Week.
I'm a victim of being ran over by a semi while I was flagging. The person wasn't paying attention and they hit me with their vehicle.
I seen a accident where we were the first people to walk up, and that picture will never leave my mind.
I've seen people get hit before. It's been horrible.
Construction zones on roadways and bridges are more than just cones and equipment. They're the workplace for thousands of dedicated union laborers.
Everybody has a family that they need to get back home to, so please just pay attention to us out here while we're working.
We all have family, and I know it's a pain in the ass, but we're trying to make the roads better for y'all.
We're doing this for everyone.
We're hardworking Hoosiers, just like you, and we all want to make it home safely.
People would just take a couple seconds to pay attention.
Be aware of where we're at, where the cone zones are at. We're all in this together, and we're all just trying to be safe.
This is Brian Short, Business Manager for the Indiana Laborers District Council. Everyone deserves a safe place to work. Do your part in the cone zone. Slow down, save a life. We're all in this together.
A message from Laborers International Union of North America and affiliated locals.
And good morning. Welcome back to the morning show. I'm Verlie Suggs. I'm your host on Tuesdays, folks. And of course, every second and fourth Tuesday of the month, I am joined by the ladies from That's What They Said, Michelle Quinn and Adriana Alvarez. But this Tuesday, it's just me flying solo. And of course, talking about some of the issues that are going on here in the region and around the world. I'm going to turn it over to Joe with an update on the traffic and the weather, and then we'll get right back to the show.
Sure. Okay, so the traffic so far as I predicted so perfectly, the traffic has gotten significantly worse since the last time we spoke in about half an hour ago. Let's see. We have major buildup on 94 West heading all the way into the city. And we also have some buildup on 57 North kind of as we get into that intersection with 94. And then the Stevenson Expressway obviously is starting to get backed up heading both north and south. Mostly north right now, but there is still some backup heading south. And then the Eisenhower Expressway heading east and west is both significantly backed up. Other than that, you're looking pretty good though for now, but I will keep you guys updated with anything else that we see or any crashes or anything like that. But as for now, you guys are looking okay other than those few traffic buildups. So then for the weather, today, Tuesday, is going to be a high of 74 and a real feel of 72, but expect a thunderstorm later in the afternoon. Wednesday is going to be a high of 71 and a real feel of 73. Some fog in the morning will reduce visibility on your morning drive, so be careful of that. Thursday is going to be a high of 81 and a real feel of 81. Nothing but some warm day for you. And then Friday is going to be a high of 70, real feel of 69. A couple of showers and thunderstorms heading later into the afternoon. And then to start off the weekend, it's going to be a high of 60 and a real feel of 63. As well as Sunday is going to be much of the same. It's going to be a high of 62 and a real feel of 65. Neither day looking for anything other than sunshine and a few clouds. So enjoy it. It's going to be a good week, generally speaking. And Verlie, you can take it away.
All right. Thank you, Joe. So as I mentioned, at 10 o'clock this morning, there's going to be a meeting at the election board. And I'm going to just kind of go over the ballot and then talk about what's going on with that. But currently, the Lake County Republican Party is challenging almost 90% of all absentee vote by mail and travel board applications from Gary, Hammond, East Chicago, and Maryville. Now, the word is voter suppression, and that's what people are up in arms about. This meeting is taking place today. It's going to be at the government complex, and the call to action has been put out there for people to show up, organize, stand up, speak out, and be heard. So Michelle Feynman, of course, is the director of the election board, and she is very busy planning and preparing to deal with this today. And, of course, the movers and shakers, the players in this will be there. So hopefully we'll be able to hear from individuals who attend what the argument is. And do you notice the cities that are being put out there as the place where these fraudulent ballots, I'm going to say fraudulent because why else would they be pushing to challenge them? What gives them the right to only pick certain places? Why didn't you say St. John? Why didn't you say Cherville? Why didn't you say Crown Point? Why is it only the predominantly minority parts of the region? Questioning that. But I'm going to look at this ballot, and these are the individuals that are running. And this is the Democratic ballot. Of course, the Republican ballot is going to be a whole different ballot, and you will have the opportunity in this primary. You can't just vote straight Democrat or straight Republican because this is a primary, and this is where you declare your party. You declare whether you're a Democrat or a Republican. But it's a primary, so there are multiple Democrats running on the Democratic ballot, and there are multiple Republicans running on the Republican ballot. So we'll start with one of what I consider to be the top races that are going to be going on. I don't know if it's much of a race, but for District 1, which remained the same, thank you, Senator Charbonneau, Senator Donnell, and all those people who, voted to keep it as is. Frank McVan is being challenged by Levita Sparks Wade. For Circuit Court Judge, Mike Brown is being challenged by Andrew Silstrovich. Now, I might have said it incorrectly because I always used to say the Silvestrovich. But I'm sure for those of you who know correctly the pronunciation, you're saying in your head she got it wrong. For county auditor, you have a few people running. You have Sandra Ford, Gina Pimentel. Gina is the current Lake County recorder who, because of term limitations, she's no longer able to stay in that position, run in that position. So she has decided that, hey, she wants a promotion and she's running for county auditor. Now, some people will say she's done an excellent job as the recorder, and maybe what the auditor's office needs is somebody who can come in and fix the problems there. That'll be your decision, folks. Of course, the current auditor is Peggy Halinga Katona. And there are some concerns about Peggy because she's been ill and she hasn't been to the office much. And there have been some challenges from people saying that, why are you running if you can't come into work? And then those who are sympathetic saying, well, you know, we can't force her to come if she's not well enough to do so. And she's not the first person in the county that didn't show up to work. We've had others, the former recorder, Mike Brown, not the current city clerk, Mike Brown. Remember, there were two. One was a little darker than the other. So we're talking about the lighter one, the paler one. He didn't show up to work very much, and they got rid of him, right? We've had county council people. I think Miss Franklin was one who were ill and didn't show up to work much. We have city council members in the city of Gary who are ill and haven't really been to work much. So do elected officials get a pass when they're not able to get to work? Now, I don't know about most jobs. Some jobs have family leave, they have sick leave, they have all kinds of personal time off, maybe PTO and that sort of thing. And I don't know at what point you lose your job in the private sector when you can't get to work. But as an elected official, do you hold on to your job until the next election? So does that mean that if there's an election, you get elected, and then you don't show up to work for 4 years, you still got your job as long as they elect you at the next election? Well, that's something to think about. Should elected officials be able to retain their position regardless to whether they're at work or not until the next election? Because there's always people who say, oh, we need term limitations. They shouldn't be allowed to be the mayor of East Chicago for 20 plus years, or the mayor of Gary for 20 plus years, or the mayor of Hammond for 20 plus years. They should have term limitations. Well, the average individual would say, well, a term limitation is an election. So if they're in office and you don't want them in office for all these number of years, well, then you vote for someone else. Well, then there would be those who would say, well, they're entrenched. If they're in office that many years, they own the precinct committee people, they own the city council, they own the voters, and people appear to be happy with them, so they keep putting them back in office. So there's your term limitation, right? So that is the question when it comes to that office. Should Miss Katona get a pass because she's ill and she's working from home, or should there be change? Well, she has two people running against her, Sandra Ford and Gina, as many people know her, Pimentel. Now, for the county sheriff, and I think I'll hold off on that one for a minute and go to our county treasurer, because the county treasurer's office and the county auditor's office kind of go hand in hand. For many years, we've known there's been the musical chair thing. There's a number of years you can serve in one office, and then the two have kind of switched back and forth. And because they know the job so well, the treasurer will be the auditor, and the auditor will be the treasurer. And then when that time's up, they'll switch again. But are you happy with that? Well, John Patelis, the current treasurer, is being challenged by Anthony Manuel. So somebody's out there who's not happy with that, and he's running against Mr. Batalis. We shall see. We're going to take a phone call, and then we're going to continue with the ballot. We are on the Democratic side, but we will touch on the Republicans as well. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. I'm going to ask you.
Verlie.
Good morning.
Verlie, Vinny.
Vinny, how's everything, Vinny?
Okay.
How's
Sorry I
Sandy?
haven't been calling lately.
Yes.
That's what I want to, touch base on, okay? Sandy's doing okay. She's still at Brickyard Manor in Portage.
Okay.
And she's been there since January 6th. And we just don't know when she's going to be discharged.
So this is not a
And,
permanent move for her. This is just a temporary move to get her on her feet again?
Yes and no. Yeah, we're going to try to get her back on her feet again, get her stronger, get her back home. The other part is that it might be long term than what we expected. Okay. Our goal is to get Sandy home. But right now, with therapy that she's going with, the gentleman, his name is Rodney, very nice guy, gives a report every 4 weeks and to continue Sandy's therapy. And his determination is that Sandy is not strong enough and she's not able to be home at this time.
And that's something that people count on to hear from the therapist, because a lot of times people are released too early, and then it's very burdensome on the family to try and manage them. Especially you, Vinny, you're working, you're trying to take care of Sandy. It's a lot on you. So the good part is that her therapist is getting her extended time there by saying that she's not ready to go home.
Right, and she is not, because we do have a contractor to come on out. He gave us an idea of what we're going to do we need a ramp. That's number one, before she can really come home. Number two is that the house has to be updated to ADA, what ADA means, American Disabilities Act.
Of course, yes.
So we got to have somebody come in to help me to make the bathroom more accessible, for Sandy, for ADA. And that's what they come in. The good news about this, Verlie, that Sandy does qualify for a free medical bed.
Oh, good.
And that was the big issue. So that's fine.
Wonderful.
The other thing is that people I talk to, people I speak with who are on the radio, they said, "Vinny, how are you?" Reality, Verlie, I'm a wreck. I try to hold up as best as I can, but they see it. They see, that I'm tired. They see that, that I'm just exhausted, and that's what's happening right now. By driving back and forth to Brickyard, even when I'm at work. I got to work. I'll drive to Brickyard. I talk to the doc. I talk to the nurses. Get an update what's going on by phone. They call me. Social service. Her name is Keisha. Very nice lady. She's been informed. I'm informed with her on a daily basis by phone, or when I go there in person.
Wow. Well, Vinny, the thing about it, because Sandy is in a facility where you're not having to take care of her 24 hours, this is a time for you actually to try and get some rest and take care of yourself. You can't be there with her every moment that you're not at work. You have to manage that amount of time that you spend with her so that you can make sure that you don't end up in a hospital yourself.
And that's what a caller said when I talked to him at Van Til's, and he said the same thing. He said, now she's there, relax, just try to, get some, like you said, get some rest, and and that's what I'm doing right now. I've been, I'm off today and tomorrow, and that's what I'm just kind of do is just kind of relax and and rest up and get energized again. Going into this week.
Good. Yeah, definitely, Vinny. You take care of yourself. Neptune's doing okay, I hope, and just
Neptune,
keep us posted.
I talked to our vet. I will. I talked to the vet, and Neptune's doing okay as an emotional support dog. He is certified, and that's part of his job. So the good news about it is that I could take Neptune to visit Sandy because he is a certified ESA dog. He has all his credentials and everything, and so that's the good news.
And I know that uplifts her spirits for sure.
It does.
Great.
I just wanted to let you guys know.
Thank you, Vinny. Thanks for
what's
keeping
going
the
on.
WJOB listeners aware, because we all care about you and we appreciate the update.
You're welcome, Bill. You take care and God bless.
God bless you as well, Vinny. 219-845-1100 is the number to call in. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, good morning, Verlie. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing this morning?
Okay, I'm up. Can't believe I'm up this early for you. You must have some strange powers.
Oh, my
anyway,
goodness.
I wanted to get back to your discussion on
yes, please,
the
George.
candidates, especially Peggy Katona. I must say, I don't know Peggy that well, but I do know her. We do know each other, not like close or anything, and she seems like a very pleasant woman.
She is
but
very
I gotta
pleasant.
tell you, I took great offensive. I was very offended that she hadn't been to work much in 4 years. I found it very offensive when Mike Brown did it, and I was offended that when Elsie Franklin underwent that.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Elsie was much older, and I think there was a move. Somebody was going to try to dislodge her, to use a phrase. I don't know if it's the right phrase, but the point is there's a capacity issue here. That you talked about. That people might not be, or some people are more sympathetic, and it's a question to me of some sympathy. It's, are you there? In Peggy's case, you got that big issue about the property tax credits, and I don't know whether she could have stopped whatever happened with the error in the installation and implementation of a new computer program to figure all that stuff out. But man, you got to be there. I don't, we're not hiring you to stay home. I mean, she talked in the news article about, I can talk on the phone. No. We need you there. When people come in, if they want to talk to you, people need to speak to you face to face. Just like the whole movement after when COVID finally settled down, you had this big move. We want people on the job. There's something about the collective, the collective presence of everybody in one place. Humming together and forming one collective mindset, so to speak, or corporate culture, whatever you want to call it, that I think is really important. She's got to be there. And I find that, I don't want to give her a pass on this.
Mm-hmm.
She should be held to account for that. I don't think she has been. And I don't really buy all this stuff that, I keep getting sick. If you're sick, fine. But that means you don't have the capacity to be there, to do your job. Your job is to be there, not get elected and stay home. Anyway, that's
so
my
what?
concern.
So let me ask you this, because endorsements take place, and people who have not shown up to work get endorsements still, regardless. Do you think that they hold on to these positions because they need the insurance, they need the income, or they just want to retain the power, or do they do it to keep other people in position? Like, there are individuals who work in her office who are there, the say deputies. Those are the people that you can shift out if someone new comes in. So they're trying to hold on to what they have. And so they're the ones that are out there, campaigning for these individuals to keep them in office because they're trying to retain their positions as well, or their family members' positions.
All of the above, not to mention the staff sometimes, as we found with Judge Arredondo. He was one of those that also didn't come to work for a long time because I think he had a
fall and hit his head.
But yeah, and I don't know if it was dementia that set in or whatever it was, but they kept him propped up because everybody's job in the management aspect, at least, was preserved that way. So yeah, all the above, sure,
right.
Absolutely. I mean, what's not to like?
So, George, were you aware of what's going on this morning regarding the absentee ballots and the traveling board And the challenge from the
Not
Republican
until
Party?
you said something. Not until you said something. No. No, that was an eye opener. But and I agree with you that there's nobody from St. John or Cherville or any of those places that are being questioned. So, but I don't know. I don't know what to say. I'm not that. My pulse is. I don't follow it that closely. Don't know the inner game that's going on, but or just maybe to what extent. I mean, your query seems to suggest that it's not. How many? Do you know offhand how many ballots are being contested? I mean, is it 50? Is it 10?
It said 9. I thought I read
500?
90% of the ballots. I don't know how many the total is.
Yeah, that's to me is the question. So anyway, it's an eye opener. And is that the first time that's happened like that?
This is. Well, as far as ballots, I remember, during the East Chicago period, ballots were questioned, traveling board and absentee ballots were questioned back then during the Patrick Bay era. But as far as the Republican Party, I just think they're grasping for straws ever since the redistricting didn't go through, and they're trying to find all types of ways to disenfranchise voters.
The Don Trump cost, right?
Yes.
I'm going to make you pay one way or the other, yeah. Whether I don't care if I lose. It ain't my money. You're just going to have to go through these idiotic, irrelevant processes and suffer the consequences, right? Even if you come out on top. Yeah, I know that logic. That's just how. What was his theory in litigation? Just keep getting continuances. Let the case go on forever ad infinitum. So until you're broke, until you can't. When you read about some of the stuff that Trump pulled when he was in civilian life, that he would just prolong these cases, and ultimately litigants would settle simply because they needed the money. You know what I mean? So they would take a dime on a dollar rather than, let's say, 50 cents on a dollar, or go for the whole ball of wax. And that's the way he does it through attrition. So anyway, I just wanted to weigh in on that. This capacity issue to me is very big. You want to see the people that you elect. These are public officials, public servants, I should add. I know many times they think they're public bosses, but they are, in fact, public servants. It's just that we, the people, when we don't come out and hold them to it, then they become public bosses. And suddenly they're not, we're their constituents. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And they think that we work for them. I mean, you get that weird psychology that sets in. I'm your boss. You know what I mean? You represent me. I don't represent you. You represent me. And that kind of just freaks me out sometimes. Because you get that weird psychology that sets in. Anyway.
Well, George, I appreciate you weighing in this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. 219-845-1100. We're going to take a break. We'll be back with the continuation of the morning show here on WJOB, AM 1230, 104.7 FM, Hammond, Indiana.
I'm Jerry Williams. For over 35 years, I protected Lake County as a state trooper and interim police chief of Gary. This is my home, and keeping our community safe has been my life's work. I've dedicated my career to fighting crime. Now I'm running for sheriff to get the job done and deliver real results. As a crime fighter, not a politician, I'd be honored to have your vote. Paid for by the committee to elect Jerry Williams for sheriff.
Hi, my name is John Patalis, and I am your Lake County Treasurer. Your Treasurer's Office is responsible for the collection of over $1 billion per year in money that belongs to you, the taxpayer. I am asking you for your support and vote on Tuesday, May 5, as I seek re-election to this very important financial office. For public service and not self-service, please remember me, John Patalis, for your Lake County Treasurer. Paid for by the committee to elect John Patalis.
State Senator Dan Darnell was supposed to be different. He promised to fight for Hoosier families and stand with President Trump. He failed. Durnell voted against President Trump's agenda in Washington. That hurt Hoosier families, and he voted to let a Chinese company buy Hoosier farmland, putting China before us. Dan Durnell, opposing Trump, voting like a liberal, letting us down. A disgrace.
President Trump has endorsed conservative Trevor DeVries for state senate, a real Republican who will fight for Hoosier values. Trevor DeVries will stand with Trump, protect Hoosier farmland from China, defeat the liberal agenda, and never let you down. A true America First conservative. The right choice for Indiana. Endorsed by Trump, Trevor DeVries for state senate. Election day is May 5th. Paid for by American Leadership PAC.
This is National Work Zone Awareness Week.
I'm a victim of being ran over by a semi while I was flagging. The person wasn't paying attention and they hit me with their vehicle.
I seen a accident where we were the first people to walk up, and that picture will never leave my mind.
I've seen people get hit before. It's been horrible.
Construction zones on roadways and bridges are more than just cones and equipment. They're the workplace for thousands of dedicated union laborers.
Everybody has a family that they need to get back home to, so please just pay attention to us out here while we're working.
We all have family, and I know it's a pain in the ass, but we're trying to make the roads better for y'all.
We're doing this for everyone.
We're hardworking Hoosiers, just like you, and we all want to make it home safely.
People would just take a couple seconds to pay attention.
Be aware of where we're at, where the cone zones are at. We're all in this together, and we're all just trying to be safe.
This is Brian Short, business manager for the Indiana Laborers District Council. Everyone deserves a safe place to work. Do your part in the cone zone. Slow down, save a life. We're all in this together.
A message from Laborers International Union of North America and affiliated locals.
Hi, my name is John Patalis, and I am your Lake County Treasurer. Your Treasurer's Office is responsible for the collection of over $1 billion per year in money that belongs to you, the taxpayer. I am asking you for your support and vote on Tuesday, May 5, as I seek re-election to this very important financial office. For public service and not self-service, please remember me, John Patalis, for your Lake County Treasurer. Paid for by the committee to elect John Patalis.
Forgot to turn on my mic. Good morning, everybody. You are watching The Morning Show with Verlie. I am your producer, Joe Cimino, and I'm going to run through some traffic and weather with you guys real quick before we get to the top of the hour. Things are starting to look a lot worse. Once you get into the city, though, actually getting into the city, 94 has some backup, but for the most part, it's going to be clear other than kind of in that area where I was talking about earlier where it intersects with 57 North. You're going to have your traffic on Klein due to the road construction buildup. Other than that, like I said, all the traffic is already really in the city. The Stevenson Expressway north and south is backed up. Same with the Eisenhower Expressway. And 94 west, as it goes up into the city, is going to be backed up all the way until you get into the O'Hare area. So other than that, you're looking all right, at least getting into the city. It's more once you get in there that you find your problems. All right, and then for the weather, I'm going to run through this real quick. Today, you're going to have a high of 74 and a real feel of 72 with some thunderstorms later in the afternoon. Tomorrow, you're going to have a high of 71 and a real feel of 73. There will be some fog in the morning that will reduce visibility while driving, so be careful of that. Thursday, however, it's going to be much better with a high of 81 and a real feel of 81 and nothing but some clouds and a lot of sun. Friday, though, you're going to have some thunderstorms later in the afternoon with a high of 70 and a real feel of 69. And then Saturday, the rain will stop with a high of 60 and a real feel of 63. And then Sunday will be much of the same with a high of 62 and a real feel of 65. So there it is, your traffic and weather for you. And we have one caller, Verlie. You want to hop right into it?
Go right ahead, Jeff.
All right. With that being said, good morning, caller. You are listening to WJOB.
Well, good morning, WJOB, and good morning, Verlie.
Good morning, Ron.
Susan. It's sad day in Lake County, Indiana, what I'm hearing, what's taking place, voter suppression, basically what it boils down to. You mentioned all the cities. It seems to me like there were cities that would affect minorities by and large. And I just think I guess the NAACP ought to be looking into this too. I'm sure they are.
Steve Mays will be on this morning.
Yes, and it's a sad day. It really in America. I never thought, and I heard this ad here by saying people don't go along with Trump, so we need to get rid of her. Give me a break. I don't hate Donald Trump. I just dislike his policies. No, I don't like his policies. I haven't heard one of those people come on this radio after the insurrection and doing the insurrection, and after he gave them all a pardon, some people got beat up, defecated on Nancy Pelosi's desk, all those kind of things. It's sad. And some of these people who saying that the gas was too high, before, I haven't heard them say anything. I haven't heard them say anything when the Pope got attacked by Donald Trump, and it just makes me really upset. And I just talked to a lot of people. I'm just telling you, 18 to 35. I've been a precinct committeeman for many years. 18 to 35 people. It ain't gonna make no difference. Well, I disagree with them because it makes a difference if you get out and vote. If there is all 80, when I came to Gary, Indiana, there was, I believe, 85% of the people in Gary was voting. 85%. Now I'm told that there will be 27,000 people basically going to be in this election countywide. That's sad. That is sad. This population of the county, I guess, is perhaps about 300,000. The cities, big cities, Gary, Hamilton, Chicago. And I just think it's sad. And it's just like right now with this voter suppression, people say, well, it ain't going to make no difference. Well, they're saying that right now, and the reason I lay this at Donald Trump's doorsteps, he's in step with the governor of Indiana. You know that. And this we've never had this before in terms of since I've been in Gary. I came here in 1965 from L.A., Lower Arkansas, and I just don't say. But you would have somebody to attack me, you, or anybody. I know you don't care, and I don't care either, because I believe that people have a right to speak. They call in if they feel different. They should call in this morning, but they call themselves a little boycott. I understand how that is, and I know you don't care about it. But there are so many decent people out there.
Ron, what do you mean? People are boycotting me?
Well, they ain't calling in. This thing is a hot thing in the morning when you're talking about Trump. Now, come on, Verlie. I know you know what I'm talking about.
No, I didn't know that.
As you know, as you know, Ron Matlock has I have been out there boycotting. I have been demonstrating, and you've been out there with me years ago, fighting injustice anywhere, threat to everywhere, threat to justice everywhere.
Right, but when you say boycotting, are you saying like the same people who call every show every single day to talk about the same thing over and over again are not calling me? Like, really? Do you really think I'm losing any sleep over that? I'm not, Ron. I can talk for hours to.
I know you can.
Right.
I'm just saying,
so I don't know why you bring that up like it matters.
I bring it up because I want them to understand that you don't care and I don't care, but we know they're listening. They know everything you say. You'll hear it tomorrow and the next day. But I'm just simply saying that right now.
Someone just sent to me and said there's no boycott. They're on the chat board. See, that's what I don't do chat boards, so I don't even look at the chat board. But that would be the place that those type of people would go to, definitely. Yeah. And that does not calling this morning when I'm here is no skin off my back.
Yeah, I understand. How many people that we know we call
I don't suffer fools.
I'm just simply saying, I'm usually attacked by these individuals, call me out of my name, but they don't say what Donald Trump is doing is wrong. And that's sad. I mean, it's really sad. And he he's underwater right now. We know that. He's underwater every day. I think somebody just resigned yesterday or got fired because, he'll fire them. And right now, if you don't do what he say, his whole thing was drain the swamp.
Yep.
It's more alligators and crocodiles in that swamp than ever.
All right, Ron, we're going to leave it. We're going to leave you with that right there.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your call. We're going to go right back to the phone line.
Before we go back to the phone line, I just have to say it is 5 after 7, and you are listening to the morning show with Verlie on WJOB 1230 AM, 104.7 FM. Thank you to everyone that tunes in. And now we will go right back to the callers.
Thank you for that top of the hour station ID.
Yep. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hello. Hello, Verlie. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing this morning?
Good. I have a question for you here on your views. So I'm sure you're familiar with Lieutenant Governor Micah Beckwith coming to Valparaiso schools.
Yes, and really putting down the superintendent because.
So.
Go ahead.
Yeah, correct. So my main question here. So looking at this here, objectively, I just want to ask a couple questions here. Have you heard about schools, and there's no, I'm not to lay down a counter argument, a huge one to argue back and forth. But, I'm sure in schools, you see different clubs, LGBTQ, which is fine, you know what I mean? Teachers might have flyers, you might have, the flag in the classroom, stuff like that. But now, correct me if I'm wrong, teachers couldn't really have, crucifixes for religions, correct?
Right.
So, kind of hearing that, then for the schools, he brought in this guide, kind of knowing what to expect. And I know you can't send home your security stuff, where you can't send home letters Lieutenant Governor's coming. It's a security issue. So my question really is,
who's trying to get Beckwith? I mean, security issue? They can say he's coming.
Well,
he's not the president. He's just a lieutenant governor. He preaches in his. Doesn't he preach on Sundays? I mean, they know where to find him.
Well, correct, but like I said, I'm sure there is some type of security precautions made. That's not kind of the point I'm bringing up here.
I don't even really think he walks around with Secret Service. Really, he's just a lieutenant governor. Sue Esperman, I don't think she did, and she was a woman lieutenant governor. So yeah, I don't think he's that big a deal that they need to guard him.
So. Now with this, so he brought him in there knowing, his agenda here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I kind of want to hear your views on, it seemed like that superintendent kind of, when he sent that letter home, he kind of did it too quick, just to kind of to avoid making a political stance, which we just talked earlier on a couple seconds ago about the crucifixes and the flags, it's a political stance. I don't know, I kind of thought it was a double standard took by the schools. We don't know the whole dialogue that took place, in that assembly.
Okay, so when I look at it, it said that he was there to talk about careers. And he accused the superintendent of being woke because the superintendent apologized to the parents for not letting them know. I think he might have said something against the LGBTQ, the transgender.
I did hear that as well.
Yes. So the superintendent was apologizing for the political spin that was brought into his appearance there for a career day event. And the superintendent wasn't wrong, but now it's sort of like the Pope and Donald Trump. They're going back and forth at each other.
Correct. But it just seems and I know you're religious, you're a fellow Catholic, all that. But it just kind of the thing that gets me is, they promote this stuff, they promote LGBT, which is fine. You know what I mean? As the previous caller said, all voices matter. But now, like he said, with religious views, there are obviously some very conservative religious views. And I don't know, I kind of thought that there were maybe, and we don't know what was said. If he really said some really outrageous, out-of-pocket stuff, I could understand that. But it just seems like they're stifling the religious argument about it, which he brought up, to promote other stuff that happens during the day. If, for example, I'm sure if a career day, and let's say someone who owned an LGBTQ business came in, they probably wouldn't say, you know what I mean? There probably wouldn't be a letter if they talked about their LGBTQ views. You get what I'm saying with that? Like the argument part of that?
Right. If
I
they're
don't know,
not
do you
there,
agree with
they're
that?
there.
Do you, like-
No, I agree that if you are there to talk about a certain issue, then you don't bring your personal life into it in that regard. You're coming there to talk about careers, so you definitely shouldn't be beating down people who have different views and opinions, because that's not why you're there anyway. As far as the superintendent, the back and forth of the superintendent's going to be retiring from that position, I just think that and I've heard Beckworth here on the radio as a guest of one of the shows. He comes across as very immature in some ways, because he's no different than the people who call and want to go back and forth. You're the lieutenant governor for all of the citizens of Indiana, the gay ones, the lesbians, the transgender, the Democrats, the Republicans, the what do you call libertarians? When you are elected governor, just as Mike Braun, you are there to represent the people of your state, and your state is diverse. It is inclusive of all people. So don't come there and accuse somebody of being woke because because the superintendent is supporting his students and their families. That's where I draw the line.
And I want to just add in one more follow-up. Now, with these, and it's not, like I said, don't think like I'm trying to say they're wrong. I believe, people have like a sense of freedom to a degree. But now, like, let's say here, like with this, you had a speaker who spoke his religious views. Have schools ever had, like, given the students rights, like, I don't want to say protest, but I guess let's say the right to convene to, like, let's say here, like, I don't know, like the one
Catholic
that just
club,
happened with
the
immigration.
Baptist club, like the
No.
Okay.
Like the, for example, like the ICE protest that took place.
Mm-hmm.
Some schools allowed during like a homeroom, like the
students walked out. They did that in Valpo as well. Yes, and that's part of what Beckwith was complaining about.
And some schools approved it.
Right.
And now,
my
they do that.
grandkids did in Fisher.
But
they did.
But no. What I'm saying is like, so that's a political protest in terms.
It's a political protest that the kids did not get the day off to do it. They took it. My grandkids in Connecticut did it as well. It took place across the country. These are students standing up for what they believe in. It's better. I'd rather see them than do senior ditch day
at the podium. But you have someone, like I said, like Lieutenant Beckwith here. He's doing it. Like I said, it's kind of like this. Lieutenant, thank you. It's kind of the same thing. You know what I mean? Just on the flip side, the protests. You have him coming in, but it seems like he's getting condemned more because it's about religion, which I don't know. Like,
yeah, I don't think it's about religion that he's being condemned. I think it's some of the things he said, and he wasn't there to talk about religion. Valpo is a public school. It is not a religious school. You want to talk about religion, go to Bishop Nola Andrean or Marquette or any other number of school where religion is the predominant thing besides education. Yes.
Well, what about the political protests then?
Political protests are political protests. The school's not doing the political protests. The students are. We're going to take another caller, and then we will continue on. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Good morning, caller.
Hello?
Hello, you're on the air. Are you there?
Hello?
Yes, we hear you. Hi.
Hello? I love Boycott Tuesdays.
You love Boycotting Day?
Do.
So do I.
Love it.
So do I
mean, there's no arguing with idiots. I don't know why Jim puts up with it. I would have hung up on these jerks a long time ago and block them. You're so good. I learn a lot from it, political as well as things that are going around, in our area. That's all I care about. But we're in a nasty world right now, and all you could do is just make sure you take care of yourself and yours. And that's my comment.
Oh, well, I appreciate your comment. I was looking for more.
Oh, it's early. It's early. But no, sometimes I don't even want to listen because I get a headache. It's like, and you can't talk to those morons. It's their way or no way.
Well,
I could see why one man does not have a woman. Itchy fingers.
Oh my
goodness!
I could see you almost got in trouble for that yesterday, didn't you?
No, I didn't. I don't think I did.
Oh.
No, that wasn't me.
You didn't call Jim and talk about sticky fingers? Okay.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, but I haven't heard him either. But no,
yeah.
I respect everyone. Mm-hmm. Everyone. I respect their opinion because that's their opinion. I have an opinion.
Right.
But to get on to talk to people that the way they are spoken to, it's not one for the radio station. Mm-hmm. I feel, and then when you have Jim giving them the gas for it, it's like, why are you doing this? They just think about what they're going to say for the next day's show.
But I think with Jim, he just tries to be fair and balanced, and so he is more open to hearing everyone's opinion, and I'm open to hearing everyone's opinion. I just think a lot of people who call in, they're so impressed by themselves, and they think that they're impressing everybody else that it just gets lost. They call and they say the same thing every single show, like the same listeners are not listening to every single show. It's not like when you call a host, you're having a private conversation on your home phone. You're calling a radio show with a viewer and a listenership that is pretty much the same almost every day. So you're repeating yourself
and you know what?
Continuously.
And you will lose listeners because nobody wants to hear that. I want to hear things that are true, not things that they've read or things that they've seen. And this is all callers. I want to know what is going on, but I want it to be in an adult way of saying it. And it just seems like a lot of the callers, not a lot, I'm sorry, a couple of the callers just have no respect for anyone. Mm. And that's leading me to get off the station.
No, well, don't get off the station. It's been here over 100 years. There have been callers and listeners and hosts that have been controversial over these years. A lot of the old callers that were here maybe 50 or 60 years ago have gone on, but it's just always a new crop, and it's always some of the same, and it's just allow it to continue to be a part of your mornings, please.
Right. Well, I know Tuesdays are.
Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Mondays and Tuesdays.
Thank you. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
So I was talking about the ballot. I think we're done on phone calls, correct, Joe? Oh, we have one more? Or is that a thumb up, thumbs down? Okay. And I was talking about the ballot, but I do want to share, and I don't know, I had this, it was a discussion about what's going on across the state of Indiana in regard to Donald Trump going against these individuals that voted against redistricting. And so it's going to be very interesting May 5th when we see the results of this primary election regarding whether or not the candidates that Donald Trump is running these hateful ads against across the state of Indiana, it's not just here locally, is he going to be successful? This is going to show whether or not Donald Trump was successful in his endeavor to knock off individuals that stood for what they felt is right. And I can't wait to see the results. It'll be one way or another. It's happening in Lafayette. It's happening all over the state of Indiana. So I would say stay tuned. Coffee's in the kitchen. My boss just walked in. He's always looking for his coffee. I bought him small just in case he didn't show up this morning. But let's go to the phone lines, 219-845-1100. And then we're going to continue on with the ballot. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Verlie. Thank you for taking my call. You were speaking earlier about the outside carpetbaggers, as you someone might call them, that come in from out of the area and bring in money from outside the area and run. What I learned last week, reading, it was proven that Viktor Orban, who is a very despicable character,
in Hungary,
was using Hungarian. Yes, he was using funds. Now that he's out of there, it came out. He was using government funds, and he was sending them to the RNC here. And this is very similar to what was happening several years back with the NRA, who I'm a former member of, and this is why one of the reasons why I quit the NRA. NRA was getting money from Russia, and the NRA was giving money to the RNC. I'm sorry. So this all boils back to the despicable Citizens United, which is really corrupting our whole political on both sides, on everything.
And you're so true. The NRA, my dad was a member, well, he was not only a Republican, but he was a member of the NRA back in the 70s, and that's when it was about,
exactly,
the right to bear arms, legal rights for guns, but never this political
safety
agenda that the NRA turned into.
Exactly. It was corrupted, and then you saw what Wayne LaPierre.
I was going to say LaPierre was
thieves.
An orchestrator.
They were all a bunch of thieves, and now they're feeding on one another, because now all the grift and graft and corruption is come to light. But every month it was getting worse and worse and worse. Back in the day, like you said with your father, give to this, give to that. They're going to take your guns. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. Well, next thing you know, I'm reading articles where millions and millions of dollars are being, and these so-called, activists are living like kings and grifting. So that's what it turned out to be, and it's sad. But Citizens United, from the top down, it's polluted our whole political discord, and that started with the not so Supreme Court. Especially when you have someone in there like Clarence Thomas, who is one of the will turn out to be one of the biggest grifters of all time.
Well, I won't say he's a disappointment, because I never had high expectations.
Well, he was bad, and he's gotten worse. And
yes,
these people, I don't understand. When is enough money enough? It's a sickness. First they have millions. That's not enough. Yep. Now they want to see who can be the biggest billionaire with the most amount of money and the most amount of land and the most amount of buildings. But guess what? In the bottom line, as well as I, they're not going to take it with them, and there's going to be a big black stain on our history.
It's just generational wealth. They just leave it to the next generation. But thank you so much for your call this morning.
Sure.
I do want to read a statement from our Congressman Frank Mervan in regard to what's going on against the individuals who did not support redistricting for the 1st District here in the state of Indiana. He said, Verlie, it's extremely concerning. Now, unfortunately, I did invite him this morning to see if he was able to call in, but he says, unfortunately, I'm in an Appropriations Committee meeting this morning. He'll give me a call later on in the week, but he said, I agree on the redistricting courage. They faced political and physical threats and showed great courage to do what was right. It was inspirational. So that's just comments from our Congressman Frank Mervan in regard to the individuals who stood up for what was right. We're going to take a break. We'll continue back. We're going to go right back to the ballot. And then coming up at 7:30, I should be joined by not only my sometime Tuesday morning co-host, Jim Dietlow, but also Steve Mays from the Gary branch of the NAACP. We'll be right back.
This is National Work Zone Awareness Week.
I'm a victim of being ran over by a semi while I was flagging. The person wasn't paying attention and they hit me with their vehicle.
I seen a accident where we were the first people to walk up, and that picture will never leave my mind.
I've seen people get hit before. It's been horrible.
Construction zones on roadways and bridges are more than just cones and equipment. They're the workplace for thousands of dedicated union laborers.
Everybody has a family that they need to get back home to, so please just pay attention to us out here while we're working.
We all have family, and I know it's a pain in the ass, but we're trying to make the roads better for y'all.
We're doing this for everyone.
We're hardworking Hoosiers, just like you, and we all want to make it home safely.
People would just take a couple seconds to pay attention.
Be aware where we're at, where the cone zones are at. We're all in this together, and we're all just trying to be safe.
This is Brian Short, Business Manager for the Indiana Laborers District Council. Everyone deserves a safe place to work. Do your part in the cone zone. Slow down, save a life. We're all in this together.
A message from Laborers International Union of North America and affiliated locals.
State Senator Dan Darnell was supposed to be different. He promised to fight for Hoosier families and stand with President Trump. He failed. Darnell voted against President Trump's agenda in Washington. That hurt Hoosier families, and he voted to let a Chinese company buy Hoosier farmland, putting China before us. Dan Darnell, opposing Trump, voting like a liberal, letting us down. A disgrace.
President Trump has endorsed conservative Trevor DeVries for state senate, a real Republican who will fight for Hoosier values. Trevor DeVries will stand with Trump, protect Hoosier farmland from China, defeat the liberal agenda, and never let you down. A true America First conservative. The right choice for Indiana. Endorsed by Trump, Trevor DeVries for state senate. Election day is May 5th. Paid for by American Leadership PAC.
I'm Jerry Williams. For over 35 years, I protected Lake County as a state trooper and interim police chief of Gary. This is my home, and keeping our community safe has been my life's work. I've dedicated my career to fighting crime. Now I'm running for sheriff to get the job done and deliver real results. As a crime fighter, not a politician, I'd be honored to have your vote. Paid for by the committee to elect Jerry Williams for sheriff.
Welcome back to the morning show here on WJOB AM 1230 104.7 FM. I'm Verlie Suggs. I am joined by my producer this morning, Joe Samino. Joe's going to give you an update on traffic and weather, and then we're going to get right back to the topic at hand.
All right. Yep. And I will try and make this as quick as possible because I know that you have a caller coming in soon. So it is about 7:30 here in the region, and traffic has seemed to pick up even more heading into the city. Your best bet is probably to take the Skyway up into the Dan Ryan. Oh my gosh, that's the first time I've ever really realized where the Dan Ryan is. But okay, anyways.
Joe, you need to take a road trip through Chicago.
I actually spend a lot of time up in Chicago. I do on the side. I do some modeling stuff, and most of that stuff is in Chicago. But anyways, regardless of that, that's not traffic, so we won't go into that. I hate talking about that, actually.
Oh, no, we're going to have to talk about it.
Maybe. But anyways, 94 West heading up into the city is now officially pretty much backed up all the way into there, as well as the 57 North. It's not as bad, but as I said, pretty much all day when they start to intercede with 94 is when it starts to really back up. The Stevenson, heading north and south is very backed up, as well as the Eisenhower heading east and west. And then finally, to wrap it off, 94 is going to be bad east and west, heading all the way up into O'Hare. And for the very few people that, stretch their drives even farther north, 41 is not looking any better. So good luck with your traffic. If you're getting up now trying to get to work, make sure you hit the road a little bit earlier today, because it seems to be very backed up on this Tuesday. Which brings me to the weather with it, which is going to have a high of 74, real feel of 72, and some thunderstorms this afternoon, so be wary of that. Wednesday is going to be a high of 71 and a real feel of 73. You're going to have some fog visible tomorrow morning, so be careful of that when you're driving to work. Thursday is going to be a high of 81 and a real feel of 81 with lots of suns and few clouds. Friday, however, the thunderstorms will roll back in later in the afternoon with a real high of 70 and a real feel of 69. But the weekend will dry off with a high of 60 and a real feel of 63 with lots of sunshine. And it will mirror on Sunday with a high of 62 and a real feel of 65. So there is your traffic and weather. And it is officially 7:30 on the dot here.
Well, thank you so much, Joe. Appreciate that, and appreciate the time for those of you who do not have a clock or a phone at hand. So we're going to go right back to the ballot, because we were talking about the elected officials who are on the ballot on the Democratic side, and I don't know if we'll get to the Republicans as well, but if not today, we'll do it the next time around. So our current county assessor is LaTanya Spearman. Now, apparently, there's nobody opposing her on the Democratic side, so apparently they feel she's doing a good job, and they're not trying to locate an individual who has the qualifications necessary to run for that office. It is a special level that you have to have achieved to hold that office. Back in the day when it was just political, any old person could get on the ballot and win and hold that office for a number of years. But the legislation made it a lot more difficult to run for assessors, not only on the county level, but on the local levels. They did get rid of some of the local assessors, and some communities such as Calumet Township and others, I believe Hobart may be one, and I'm thinking maybe Maryville might still have an assessor, their township rather, but there are some townships that still retain an assessor. Gary definitely has their own assessor, but Lake County Assessor LaTanya Spearman unopposed on the Democratic ticket. I'll have to check the Republican side to see if anyone's running there. I want to talk about the county sheriff's race. Now, there's a number of individuals. Always there's a number of individuals that run for this office. Two in particular, I find it quite interesting because there are a lot of things coming out, a lot of allegations regarding the sheriff's department, and especially the jail. Seems to me that there was a time when the federal government took over the jail in regard to finding some things that were not done correctly. So they were under sort of like a decree where they had to get things better over there at the jail. Well, from what's out there, things have gone into a bad state at the jail. And so I always wonder when people such as one candidate who actually is a deputy in the sheriff's department or another who actually works in the sheriff's department, I always wonder when people run for office who actually work in an entity that there are questions about, I always wonder, like, well, aren't you there already? Did you say anything? Were you a whistleblower? Because guess what? There are whistleblower protections. So you can't say, well, if I said something, then the sheriff may retaliate against me, or I might not get a promotion because I spoke up, or my nephew may lose his job because I spoke up. There are protections against whistleblowers. So I don't know how you run for an office if you're working for a department where there's issues of concern and you are not part of the process to correct them other than running for a lucrative position. So that's just my thought. Now, of course, the two individuals that work for the sheriff's department are always welcome to say why they haven't spoken up, or maybe those issues, maybe there's no problems there. Nothing's wrong at the sheriff's department. Not at all. But there are individuals running, and one, Edward Jenkins, current deputy to the sheriff. Steve Flores, police chief over there in St. John. Jason Gore had a federal position. Jerry Williams, a state police officer, former interim police chief. He's been running a long time. He's been out there from day one running for this. Maria Trajkovic, I believe she's run before. John Gregory Sanchez, not really familiar with him, but he goes by Jack as well. And, of course, there's a Republican running, and I'll get that to you afterwards. So also on the ballot, when you go down the ballot, there'll be state convention delegates, and you're allowed for each district, allowed to vote for two. I've actually been one of those state delegates. It was kind of neat going to the convention down in Indianapolis. A couple of times I've actually gone. I was the secretary for the East Chicago Precinct Organization, and then I was also a delegate and at a different time. So I've been down there a couple of times to the convention. But there are those who go all the time. Now, I'm not going to get into all these other offices. We know the township trustees in Calumet and North Township. They're running for re-election. There are individuals running against them. There are advisory board members who are running. So I have this thing when I support advisory board members. And there are two I'm supporting, one in Calumet and one in North Township. But this is me. They always say on the ballot, vote for three. Now, I don't fall into that vote for three thing. When I'm supporting a candidate, I vote for just that one. Because what people don't realize is if there's one individual you want to see elected into a position and you give them your vote, each time you vote for another person, you're giving them one more vote. So what can happen is by you voting for three, your candidate could lose, and it might be just by the one vote that you voted for someone else. So even though you can vote for three, I'm a firm believer in voting for one. Now, as far as on the county council, there are offices that are open. A couple of people have actually retired. If you can believe that. There are individuals in the county who are actually retiring from office and not running. David Ham, one of them, in Hammond. Hammond. That's easy to remember, right? And Charlie Brown and Gary, not running, not seeking re-election. And guess what? I don't think they spent the year at home and decided not to run. I believe they were actually going to work. Now, I know Charlie was ill a little bit, and he might have missed a few days off. But I think he realized that, it's been a long time. He was a state representative before he did that, decided to come on the county level since he wasn't able to get much done on the state level because they were a part of the minority. And I don't mean black. I mean Democrat. But, yeah, Charlie's not running, and neither is Dave. So that is wide open. There are a number of individuals running for those positions, and we will definitely talk about that later. I think Steve stood me up because, he was like 7:30. That's kind of early, Verlie. But if you stood me up, Steve, I'll remember. Don't worry. I have a long memory. People hate the fact that I do have a long memory because it's like I always remember. But I advise you to vote early. And as I said earlier, do not vote in Crown Point today. You will not find a parking space. There are going to be a number of people out there at 10 o'clock. Now, if you are going there at 10 o'clock to oppose what the Republicans are trying to do, and that is to throw out absentee ballots and traveling board ballots because they're desperate, then definitely be there because they need the bodies to be there to show that this is wrong. But if you're going to vote, I would say go to East Chicago or Gary or Hammond or Cherville or one of the early voting sites somewhere other than the Lake County Government Complex. Unless, of course, you go this afternoon when things should die down. That's just my opinion, folks. If you like to be amongst the crowd and you want to drive around the parking lot for a while looking for a spot, then you are always welcome to do so. People calling me when I'm on the air. I have to take a breath for a minute there and just think about it. But I realize the importance of voting, and I hope that everyone realizes that. And when people like Ron call in and they talk about the percentage of people who vote, it's really sad. And I know it's very discouraging to Ron and others when after an election you look at the number of people who didn't come out and vote. And I remember when I ran for office, and then when I was looking at people who had voted afterwards, and I saw neighbors that hadn't even voted. And I just think when you have this right to vote, to make a difference, especially on the local level, one vote makes a difference. We've seen people challenge an election results based on the fact that they're so close that they might actually find a few more votes. Now, I don't know how these votes get found. I don't know how these recounts take place when everything's supposed to be electronic, but somehow, sometimes, they do find a ballot or two to narrow the margin or to actually put one candidate over the other when it comes to the results. I never like exit polling. I never like hearing these early voting results because it causes some people to celebrate and then wake up in the morning and find out that they were celebrating a little too early. So take it with a grain of salt. Don't celebrate before you actually know you won. And may the best man or woman win. How's that sound? I know it's time for a break. We're going to take our break, and then we'll come back. We're going to have our last segment of the show. We're going to invite you to weigh in if you choose or not. And we'll be right back.
Hi, my name is John Patalis, and I am your Lake County Treasurer. Your Treasurer's Office is responsible for the collection of over $1 billion per year in money that belongs to you, the taxpayer. I am asking you for your support and vote on Tuesday, May 5, as I seek re-election to this very important financial office. For public service and not self-service, please remember me, John Patalis, for your Lake County Treasurer. Paid for by the committee to elect John Patalis.
This is National Work Zone Awareness Week.
I'm a victim of being ran over by a semi while I was flagging. The person wasn't paying attention and they hit me with their vehicle.
I seen a accident where we were the first people to walk up, and that picture will never leave my mind.
I've seen people get hit before. It's been horrible.
Construction zones on roadways and bridges are more than just cones and equipment. They're the workplace for thousands of dedicated union laborers.
Everybody has a family that they need to get back home to, so please just pay attention to us out here while we're working.
We all have family, and I know it's a pain in the ass, but we're trying to make the roads better for y'all.
We're doing this for everyone.
We're hardworking Hoosiers, just like you, and we all want to make it home safely.
People would just take a couple seconds to pay attention.
Be aware where we're at, where the cone zones are at. We're all in this together, and we're all just trying to be safe.
This is Brian Short, Business Manager for the Indiana Laborers District Council. Everyone deserves a safe place to work. Do your part in the cone zone. Slow down, save a life. We're all in this together.
A message from Laborers International Union of North America and affiliated locals.
I'm Jerry Williams. For over 35 years, I protected Lake County as a state trooper and interim police chief of Gary. This is my home, and keeping our community safe has been my life's work. I've dedicated my career to fighting crime. Now I'm running for sheriff to get the job done and deliver real results. As a crime fighter, not a politician, I'd be honored to have your vote. Paid for by the committee to elect Jerry Williams for sheriff.
And welcome back to the morning show here on WJOB AM 1230 104.7 FM. I'm Verlie Suggs, and this is the last segment of the show. I do have to get out of here at 8 o'clock because I have a meeting at 8:30. I always kind of cut it close. I'm always running in at the last minute, but I try and be on time. So I definitely will be leaving here a little before 8 to make sure I get there. Apologies that Steve Mays was not here this morning to talk about the protest that will be taking place at the Lake County Government Complex at 10 a.m. this morning. There is an election board meeting, and people will be coming out. Hopefully I hope the people show up, even though Steve didn't, to voice their concerns about these areas that are being disenfranchised in regard to voting absentee. We're going to go to the phone lines, and then we'll continue on. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Oh, and I do not have a headphone on. Sorry about that.
Good morning, caller.
Hi,
you're
caller.
on the air.
You're on the air.
Morning. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you
just
doing?
Wanted to toss out a... Thanks. I just wanted to toss out a couple things. First of all, Joe, I understand that you don't want to vote because you don't want to make an uninformed decision. Just make sure that you are ready to vote or register to vote, because you may end up at the last minute getting the idea to choose a selected candidate. And if you don't register, then you're too late. And also,
And you're right, because it's already too late to vote in this election, but the next election, if he registers, he'll be able to.
Exactly. The other thing is, for all these people that are choosing not to vote, they really have no right to complain then if they don't vote, because they're not even doing the least possible thing to do to make things better.
Yep. I agree.
What do you think?
I agree. Joe, did you have any comment? Because that was addressed to you.
I mean, okay, yeah, I don't really have any comments about it. I think that's a fair point, right? If you're not going to do your part in it, then you can't complain as to who's sitting in an office. So, I don't think I complain about it, and I know you're not saying that I do, but you also make a fair point, right? If I suddenly do become more knowledgeable and I find that I want to vote for somebody, now I can. So I will definitely be registering for next year, or next vote, I'm sorry. And if I become more knowledgeable, then I will tell everybody. I'll let everybody know who I vote for. I don't, it doesn't matter to me. So when that day comes, you guys will be the first to know. And then, but until then, you won't hear a peep out of me.
Yeah, just make sure that you're registered to vote, because, the morning of Election Day, you may end up saying, you know what, this just clicked with me, and this is who I'm voting for.
Yeah, no, that's a valid point.
And you don't want to deprive yourself of that right. And the last thing, and I'm going to get off the phone because I am so tired of all the people that used to call in and talk about Sleepy Joe and everything else and bring up all the past presidents, but yet when gas prices were up, when Joe Biden was in office, everybody was calling in and complaining about how he was the blame for it. And now that the prices are up, all you hear from those same people is crickets.
Exactly.
Wait, that's actually such a great... Because when you first brought up the whole politics thing to me, people were going off on me in the YouTube chat, and that's what I said. I was like, everyone was talking about the gas prices, and I was like, I'm pretty sure everyone was complaining about gas prices when Joe Biden was president. Right. And, Trump said he was going to fix it, and, now look at us. Look at us now. It's just as bad, if not worse. And I go, the problem with all of that is I feel like, when I'm listening to these candidates is like you have to comb through layers and layers of what they're saying to actually get to the point that they're trying to make in their message. It's turned into almost more of a reality show where people are dissing each other instead of talking about their own points and their own issues. And yeah, that's where I'm at with it. But it's a good point, because that's something I literally typed out in chat for all the people to read.
I did have one other thing to say, that since sure. I'm getting everything off my chest. 7 weeks ago, we were told it's going to be 5 days. We're going to be in and out. It's going to be over, and there's not going to be any ground troops. And 2 weeks ago, we heard that there's going to be how many thousands of troops going over there, and it just It's not done yet. Wonder why.
Exactly.
Have a good day.
Thank you so much for your call. And thank you for the reality check that so many people fail to face. We are going to take another caller, and then we're going to be wrapping it up soon. So good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, I just want to make a comment, the primary system. I think I'd like to see Indiana go to open primary. I think you'd get more voters.
Jim, can you get the door, please? Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. I am so sorry.
That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would just like to comment. I'd like to see Indiana go to an open primary system rather than the one we've got now where you got to declare a party. Some people just won't do that on principle to associate themselves with a party.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas an open primary, I think the election process would go a lot smoother where the two top candidates, and whether they be Republican or Democrat, the two top vote getters go in the general election. Or if the candidate gets more than 50% in the primary, they're elected by virtue of that. So I think it'd be a good idea.
I agree with you. I would like that as well. I don't like having to declare at the beginning. I think that it should just be open. Sometimes the Republican candidate may be better than the Democratic candidate. I mean, I've said many times that I voted for Mitch Daniels, and I voted for Holcomb. I didn't vote for Mitch Daniels the first time, but I did vote for him for his second term, and I voted for Holcomb. Right. And I probably voted for him twice. So I liked Holcomb, regardless to his party affiliation.
My voting record pretty much matches yours. I did the same thing.
Wait, you guys are both Republicans?
Okay,
you guys are hey, wait a second. You guys are both Republicans or what?
Yeah.
Really?
Sometimes.
It just depends, right?
No. I mean, that's a rare... Mitch Daniels, I definitely went out of my way to vote for him the second time. I didn't vote for him the first time. And the same thing with Holcomb. But that's a rare exception.
All right. Hey, man, I just got one question. Are the Bears coming to Hammond?
No. Not gonna happen.
All right, thanks. Hey,
I'd like to see him come to Hammond, but I think it's just a ruse.
So the people I talked to in Chicago, they're like, why would the Bears go to Hammond? We're in Chicago are used to public transportation to get us where we want to go. How are we supposed to get to Hammond? These are Chicagoans. They are like totally against the Bears coming to Hammond. They feel there's no way to get there. There's nothing to want. They said, yeah, they can build some restaurants around there, but it's not going to be Chicago. So, I mean, the mayor can hug all he wants, but we'll see.
Thanks for the phone call. Hey, I just want to thank you.
Thank you for your call.
People say that, when I'm on, they like when I come in, and especially that first hour when I go,
oh, gosh, I hate that. I hate. You're not going to destroy this show with that.
No, and they're like, hey, we love when you're on there and then you talk and interact with callers and stuff. And when you do that, I love it. When you're just like talking to people and talking off the top of your head, that's you, and you're at your best.
Well, I'm not doing a podcast, so let's welcome our guest.
Wait a second, I'm leaving, so I just wanted to say thank you.
You can stay for a minute. Steve Mays here. Steve is joining us, and he's here to talk about what's going on at Lake County this morning. So welcome, Steve.
Good morning.
Steve, move up there, will you?
Okay. Steve, I was really sad. I was complaining that Steve stood me up this morning.
Never.
Okay, thank you, Steve. I like to feel that you wouldn't stand me up.
Why, were
so
you supposed to be here a while ago, or what?
Hey, if you guys check your door out there, I was out there for a minute.
Oh my goodness! You know what? And that's the problem because I can get in this. I have to come bang on the window. So we got to find a better way.
Ring doorbell out there. You didn't get caught.
The ring didn't work.
You didn't get caught by the train out here, did you?
Well, that too, but nonetheless.
I don't know what's going on.
He's coming from Munster. He didn't get caught.
Coming from Munster? How do you?
He lives in Munster.
You could have walked here. So you guys
think only white guys live in Munster?
Have you been to like Munster High lately?
I went there. I did. I was actually able to do a diversity type of group thing there once. And I was
it's
very impressed
diverse.
to see how diverse it was. I was very happy to see how diverse it is.
Before we jump in, a Bear Stadium in Hammond is closer to anything in Chicago to Arlington.
I knew he wanted that.
I had to get that in.
I know you did. And I don't even like Arlington. I wanted to stay on the lakefront in Chicago. I don't like Arlington. It's too hard. It's too far away and too hard to get to.
You're
you're
here
right.
to talk about like Lake County stuff, right?
Let's get it into it.
So wait a second, but are you a Bears fan? I'm just asking, man.
Who isn't?
Where does the bear go in the woods?
I mean, I'm with everybody here. I want them to come, man. I mean, could you imagine like riding your bike to a Bears game?
Hey, man, I'm all excited about
That's
that.
right. Where you going?
So, Jim, I'm going to have you stick around because we're going to keep Steve here, but I have to get to a meeting at 8:30 in Maryville because Steve was supposed to be here at 7:30. So, Steve, are you still on the airport board?
Yes.
Right. So that is something you guys need to discuss, the airport as well. But first, let's talk about what's happening in Lake County this morning, what the Republicans are trying to do, and what you are calling for.
Well, it's a meeting this morning at the Board of Elections.
You got to talk into that mic there.
I said it's a meeting this morning.
You can be late, but you can't not talk into the microphone.
There you go. It's a meeting this morning at the in Lake County at the Government Center for the Board of Elections, and they will be discussing challenging the absentee votes. That's a major issue because we have voted forever absentee, and to talk about strategically cherry picking certain areas to check those votes and not have a process for the entire county is totally unacceptable.
So we're talking like East Chicago, Gary, Hammond. Those are the communities that they're checking. Maryville.
In Maryville, yes. That makes no sense, and that's the beginning forms of voter suppression. So all of my friends in Munster and Cherville, they're going to be on golf trips that week, and they did absentee voting. So it's okay to do absentee voting. That impacts our seniors. That impacts our way of life. And that threatens our democracy. So
who's challenging this?
Well, one thing, the Gary branch of NAACP is challenging.
No, but I mean, who is
the Republicans
challenging absentee ballots?
Well, it's really not all Republicans, but it's some Republicans. And they feel that it's a plurality of absentee ballots that comes out of certain parts of the county. Well, if you look at the population's more denser in certain parts of the county.
Right,
that only makes sense.
And they're more aged, too.
Yes, right. So we think that makes no sense. We have a good system in Lake County. We have a Board of Elections. The governing board has a lot of integrity. We've got some really good folks on there. So we don't want D.C. to come to Lake County.
Meaning Donald Trump controlling everything.
Well, no, Donald.
Because I know you're a Republican, so I'm not going to say too much.
Donald Trump does absentee vote. He voted absentee.
Right, but I'm talking about he's coming because he's trying to control this election coming up.
Well, whether he is or not.
You buried the lead. You're a Republican?
Wait a minute. Republican, Democrat, Republican, and the right to vote, they're all different separate issues.
No, but I thought...
You thought because he was a black guy, so that's another thing. You made an assumption because he's a black guy that he had to be a Democrat.
I made the assumption that he was coming in here to talk about Republicans trying to suppress the vote.
Well,
so I figured that he's probably a Democrat out of that. I mean,
He's the president of the Gary branch of the NAACP.
Look, I'm a citizen. And I'll vote for the best candidate. I vote for my interests.
So you live in Munster now.
This is not about voting. It's not about me. It's about the process. It's about the disenfranchised citizens in Lake County. It's about all those seniors that don't have a way to get to the polls. Let's make it about what this is about.
So there's a meeting today
at 10 o'clock
of the elections board. Or who is it?
It's going to be at the Board of Elections office on the third floor in the Government Center by the Commissioner's office. It's going to be on the agenda. Folks should come out and talk about that and visit on that so they make sure that their democracy stays intact. That's what it's about.
Is the public allowed to speak? Are you going to be able to speak against this?
I don't know. I won't know anything until I get there. They have an agenda. I'm pretty sure it's going to be packed. It's going to be crowded. And so, but citizens should voice their concern.
All right. So there is who are the Republicans challenging this? Do you know the names?
Is the chairman? Is Niemeyer involved? Well, he's on the county council, so is he?
Well, it's people involved. Yeah, it's citizens involved. But the Board of Elections, in most cases, they have folks from both parties, and they will be there. And then obviously they have the right to challenge. But taking away something that has worked for a long time, taking away something that we have good governance on, that makes no sense. So we want.
So they're challenging just the Democratic areas.
They're challenging absentee ballots
In the whole county or just in the Democrat areas?
Well, in certain areas. The plurality is in Gary, Hammond, and East Chicago. That's the concern, and Maryville. And I like the fact that all of my friends in Crown Point and Cherville, they in Florida. And they're not getting challenged. But
and you have a home in Florida too, don't you?
Well,
I put you all out there, Steve.
Thanks, Verlie.
See that guy over there?
I just like to keep it real, you know.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. But the guy over there that went to Andrain, who stretches almost the entire show, he's telling us we got to take a break, so we got to listen to him. And
Steve, can you stick around a little while longer?
Sure.
I have to leave. I'm going to leave you in the capable hands of Jim Delow because I have to get to an 8:30 meeting.
You were on fire today, man.
Well, Jim won't bust me like you do. Steve, I'm in the parking lot.
Everything I do is with love.
Steve was not here. Well, where is he? He didn't show up. Then she comes over here and wears me out.
Yeah, if you guys
all with love.
If you guys don't understand it, we built these brand new studios, but you can't see the door from in here, and we have a Ring doorbell, and I didn't check my phone. That's probably on me, Steve.
No,
but
okay.
I do have one thing that I beg to differ with, that, you know, Verlie's going to bust you a little bit. You ain't seen nothing yet, pal.
Wait a minute. I came on for Verlie. When Verlie leaves, I'm leaving.
Oh, yeah. You're sitting right here, and I'm going to ask you about, you know, being a black guy Republican in Munster. That's great, man. That's beautiful.
Well, unfortunately, I got to be on 2 more radio shows.
Oh, okay.
All right, you're going to leave too?
And then he's going to be at the march. And, Steve, I appreciate you because, to me, you are a leader. You're a leader in the community, regardless to party, regardless to race, regardless to any of those things that we label people on. You are always there in the forefront when issues come up that affect the citizens, and I appreciate you. I love you, and thank you for coming out here this morning. He's like, you're not on Indianapolis Boulevard anymore? I'm like, no, we're behind Smith Chevrolet. So thank you for finding us, and I'm sorry you had to sit in the car and wait for someone to let you in.
No, that's perfectly fine. I'll come back.
Okay.
We can talk about the airport. We can talk about the Bears. We can talk about little things. We'll have a better idea after the day what happens politically. We can come back and talk about that.
How's that, Jim?
So what am I going to do for half an hour?
You can just...
You know what?
You will go nowhere because Calumet Painting Show will be on just after this break.
All right.
With that said, folks, thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next time.
Watch my elbow.
Plumbers Local 210 is building the future, and we're looking for service plumbers to join our team. Our training center invests nearly $500,000 every year to make sure our members are the best in the industry. From a 5-year apprenticeship and an associate degree at Ivy Tech to ongoing certifications in safety and new technology, our plumbers are trained for excellence. Every member is drug tested and licensed for your safety and peace of mind. When you need plumbing work done, make sure you ask for the license. It's your right to ask.
State Senator Dan Darnell was supposed to be different. He promised to fight for Hoosier families and stand with President Trump. He failed. Darnell voted against President Trump's agenda in Washington. That hurt Hoosier families, and he voted to let a Chinese company buy Hoosier farmland, putting China before us. Dan Darnell, opposing Trump, voting like a liberal, letting us down. A disgrace.
President Trump has endorsed conservative Trevor DeVries for state senate, a real Republican who will fight for Hoosier values. Trevor DeVries will stand with Trump, protect Hoosier farmland from China, defeat the liberal agenda, and never let you down. A true America First conservative. The right choice for Indiana. Endorsed by Trump, Trevor DeVries for State Senate. Election Day is May 5th. Paid for by American Leadership PAC.
This is National Work Zone Awareness Week.
I'm a victim of being ran over by a semi while I was flagging. The person wasn't paying attention and they hit me with their vehicle.
I seen a accident where we were the first people to walk up, and that picture will never leave my mind.
I've seen people get hit before. It's been horrible.
Construction zones on roadways and bridges are more than just cones and equipment. They're the workplace for thousands of dedicated union laborers.
Everybody has a family that they need to get back home to, so please just pay attention to us out here while we're working.
We all have family, and I know it's a pain in the ass, but we're trying to make the roads better for y'all.
We're doing this for everyone.
We're hardworking Hoosiers, just like you, and we all want to make it home safely.
People would just take a couple seconds to pay attention.
Be aware of where we're at, where the cone zones are at. We're all in this together, and we're all just trying to be safe.
This is Brian Short, Business Manager for the Indiana Laborers District Council. Everyone deserves a safe place to work. Do your part in the cone zone. Slow down, save a life. We're all in this together.
A message from Laborers International Union of North America and affiliated locals.